King Tut. He could have wore a Grammy buried in his jammies. That's it. We finally are announcing our epic trip to Egypt, the Eclipse of the Ages trip to Egypt. It's going to happen July 27th, taking off from the U.S., landing in Egypt July 28th, staying through August 5th, 2027. Why? Because a total solar eclipse in Luxor for 6 minutes and 20 seconds totality. Keep in mind, we were hyping the U.S. for like 2 minutes of totality a few years ago. This is going to be active, and I am leading this trip of select clients and friends. I hardly ever lead trips for my agency, but I'm leading this one. David Hartman, owner of Fantastic Endeavors Travel Agency, thank me for joining me tonight on a late night, Sunday night show, because I just compiled the information on a trip I've been talking about for over a year. Over a year, I first kind of heard about this, even though it's been known forever. Had to get through our own eclipses here, and this came up like, wow, but hotel information wasn't available. I talked to numerous providers, preferred providers, other ones I knew locally, and either I had to guarantee thousands of dollars or the hotel rates weren't there and they couldn't guarantee hotel rates, blah, 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 blah. It went on and on. So finally, I had motivation to contact one of my preferred providers who does customized travel. I'll talk about that in a second, what that is. And we now have the details in place in limited supply. It's hard for me to hold anything on what we're doing in Egypt, especially in Luxor during this crazy time. But I did want to share with you, so thanks for joining me tonight. Please feel free to leave a comment in the chat. Subscribe to my Fantastic Endeavors YouTube channel where all my shows are on iCub for your viewing pleasure. And as always, please share our channel and share this feed with other people. Love to hear from you guys and as you join me live tonight. So this trip is 11 nights, as I talked about. I am going to cover tonight basically the details, the trip itinerary, the highlights, pricing. This will be a very brief, concise show of what the details are. The link will be available in the chat notes. I'll post in the chat of the Facebook Live. It's already in YouTube. You can see the link there. That is from Kensington Tours with my input as far as what the itinerary is going to be. I've been to Egypt numerous times. I'll talk about that too. And I do agree with everything they put down there, and we did come to agreement on a couple different things. We have some unique experiences on this trip that other trips to Egypt are not doing. While everyone else is crowding in hotels, we're going to do a Nile cruise into Luxor for the eclipse, which is, to me, a fantastic plan. So first off, what is privately escorted travel? Why is this unique? Because this trip is a true privately escorted trip to Egypt in July and August 2027. Now, why are we doing this so far out? Because as you heard, it's been in demand for a long time, and people have their extra as far as getting availability. And now, after a year of thinking about it, now hotels are hard to get. And it's now on people's radar because there's no other really big eclipse happening in the U.S. for a while. But what is privately escorted? It's a way of travel where you're handheld the entire time. It's turnkey travel. How does that differ? When I send people to Europe, I booked a package with my Fantastic Endeavors Travel Agency. And I'll have their hotels, I'll have their tours, I'll have their rental car, train tickets, international airfare, but they're pretty much traveling on their own. There's no tour guide except for the tours themselves. There's no real host to check in. Privately escort is the exact opposite. And this is great for destinations like Egypt where there's cultural differences. Some people may feel it's unsafe, although I've been there numerous times and tell you it's very safe to travel there. Southeast Asia is another one. UAE, potentially the Middle East. These are types of travel you want to be privately escorted where you land there, you have a guide the whole time, and they basically take you every single day along the trip, and you have an Egyptologist and a guide with you taking you around Egypt. That's what this trip's going to be. This is a premium trip with a premium price tag, but with a lot of inclusions, and will be well taken care of the entire time. Why is it so important? We're going to Egypt for an amazing path of totality. I got my other computer lined up over here to show you some awesome things. If it ever gets ready, here it is. So this is the path of totality. I mean, this is epic. Look at that, right over Luxor. I mean, you couldn't be any more in the path of totality. Like the longest duration is just outside of Luxor. So 6 minutes, 20 seconds. Again, I believe the 2017 eclipse, the longest totality was 2 minutes. And I think this last eclipse had a little bit of 4 minutes because of the latitude of Egypt and location of this eclipse and the path of totality. It's all lining up to be one of the longest totalities I've ever heard about. So 6 minutes and 20 seconds. That is awesome. And we're going to have a great time sitting in Egypt, just getting off our Nile cruise ship. Kensington Tours arranging a private viewing area for us. Going to avoid the crowds. There'll be people all over Luxor. This hype's really building now. I did not hear about one trip the last year planning this. Now I'm finally hearing about it. But it is an eclipse for the ages. And I'm going to go through the itinerary. First off, you don't just fly into Luxor because Luxor is a smaller airport. You do want to see Cairo. You want to adjust for the day. So we are going to fly into Cairo, the capital of Egypt, the famous area with the Egyptian Museum of Antiquities is a historic Cairo museum. Then it's also where the gem is, the Grand Egyptian Museum. They were building when it was last there in 2011. I've been there since then. And I have been to Egypt in 2006, 7, 8, and also back in 11 in numerous different trips, escorting VIPs and dive shop owners when I sold that travel to dive shops. And I'm looking forward to seeing this museum. They've been building since 2011. And I know they did the parade of Pharaohs a couple of years ago to open it, but it still wasn't truly open. But now it's actually open with tours, and we'll have our own exclusive tour for my Swell group. Keep in mind that this is not a monster group trip. This will be a very quaint group of people. And I don't have the ability to hold space of what we're doing as far as the Nile cruise and Luxor, but there are alternatives there. But everything else, I can hold space and get hotels. The rest of the trip in Egypt is not in too high demand, except for Luxor on August 2nd, when the day of the eclipse. But we are going to Luxor. I'm going to share the full screen itinerary here next. Let me get rid of the banner. And this is available right now on YouTube. If you're on YouTube Live, you can click the link. I will post it in the Facebook chat. And please DM me if you're interested in this trip. If you leave a comment in the chat, that's fine, but I'd rather have you DM me. Again, it has a premium price tag I'll talk about as we go through this. So you're going to leave your U.S. airport. We're not doing any group air because we're not booking that many people on this. This is a real exclusive, intimate trip. I can help arrange international airfare for you. Keep in mind, it won't come out for another year. Probably end of August, your airfare will be available for this trip because international airfare releases 340 days prior to your return date from your destination. So we go to Cairo. We only have 2 lodge accommodations on this 11-night trip. By the way, 1 night includes the travel over. 10 nights are actually in Egypt. So the Waldorf Astoria Cairo, which I'm very excited to stay at, is our pre-trip kind of off-gassing hotel. You relax and enjoy. And then we fly right down to Luxor the next day. And then we are on the Mayfair Nile cruise ship, which I've checked out. It's very beautiful. I'll show you pictures in a second. There's a lot more detail in this itinerary link I have shared in the YouTube Live description for this show than I'm going to show here, but it's a lot of detail. So 1 night in Cairo just to kind of off-gas. And then we do a Nile cruise, which makes our trip very unique, where a lot of people are just going to Egypt and stay at the hotel for the eclipse. We are doing a Nile cruise that actually ends the day of the eclipse, which I'm looking forward to. While everyone else is trying to position themselves and deal with Luxor Airport and deal with the crowds, probably the more crowded days is ever going to be in Luxor. This is going to be wonderful because we will be all by our lonesome on the cruise ship and with maybe a few hundred people tops. These are very small cruise ships on the Nile. Then next up, we are on the Nile cruise. We start in Aswan, which is the southern Egypt. We visit Abu Simbel, the High Aswan Dam. Then we sail Aswan up to Luxor over 4 nights. Usually it's 3 nights. We have an extra night because of the timing to arrive in Luxor. I really look forward to this. I did this in 2006, my first time there. This to me is a true highlight of Egypt. You're here to see the more Middle Kingdom Egypt, where everything is 3,000 years old versus 5,000-year-olds that you see in Cairo. I'll do a lot of preview shows leading up to this trip about Egypt. I've presented Egypt all over the country to different businesses and dive shops. I'm an Egyptologist expert, not Egyptologist, but Egypt expert travel. I've been there numerous times and love the antiquities there. It's awesome. But they're seeing all my highlights and also some I haven't seen. Like Valley of the Queens, I haven't seen. We're going to see that when we see Valley of the Kings when we do enter Luxor. Then obviously the temples of Kamambo, the temples of Edfu, probably one of the most pristine temples from the more Mesopotamian area, the more modern area of Egypt, when it was more like a Roman influence in the area. And as we come to Nile cruise, we end up August 2nd in Luxor, and we get a private viewing of the eclipse. Eclipse is a lot of hype going into it, but again, the partial totality and partial afterwards does take up a good part of the morning. So there'll be a lot of fun getting ready for and hype going on for that. And trust me, I've been to Egypt in August. August is guaranteed sun. I know the one here last year, April, in the Texas area, really got rained out for most of that state. Not possible in Egypt that time of year, I can guarantee you. And then we're back to Cairo. So let me kind of check back in. So we boom come into Cairo, one night in Waldorf Astoria, Cairo, and then no real viewing there. If in the afternoon, I recommend you relax. If you want to get out, you'll have some time because, as always, how flights work, you leave, like say JFK, for example, New York. You leave in the evening, you arrive in the morning, you get to a hotel midday. So there is time to see things. We don't normally organize anything, but depending on the group we book, and again, it's going to be a small, intimate group, not 20 people, maybe 10 max, we can decide to do something on our own or talk to Kensington about arriving something unique for us. I know the city very well. I've been there numerous times, and I know the area pretty well. So we'll see how it goes there. Then we fly right to southern Egypt to see Abu Simbel, to see Aswan, and then sail into Luxor. We actually do not see Luxor Airport until we leave, and we leave the same day of the eclipse. And I did talk to Kensington. They'll make sure that we avoid the crowds, get to the airport in plenty of time. From what they said, most people have hotel reservations for an additional night, and no one's just, there'll be people rushing off that day, but it won't be as a madhouse as the arrival that day where people are coming in on the 31st and the 1st when we're relaxing on a Nile cruise ship. Woo-hoo. So we are going along the itinerary details of our trip of a lifetime. And next up, I do want to share with you that, again, this trip to Egypt, you got to see the antiquities in the Cairo area. That is the older kingdom, Egypt. So the middle and newer kingdoms were more Luxor area. That's where the kind of capital of Egypt thrived back then. King Tut's tomb, Valley of the Kings, Luxor Karnak temples. This is Karnak Temple right here, one of the largest religious complexes in the world, twice the size of the Vatican. And that's just up the road from Luxor Temple. And we'll be right near these on our Nile cruise. Actually, the Nile is right in front of me where this picture was taken. Then we fly back to Cairo and experience the pyramids, the Saqqara Tep Pyramid, the oldest step pyramid in the world, the Sphinx, and then the Grand Museum, the Grand Egyptian Museum, the new one, and the historic Egyptian Museum of Antiquities, the Cairo Museum. And all that Egypt has to offer, the bazaars, the shopping, the haggling, that is next up on the itinerary as we go through it. Give me a little deeper dive, and then we'll show you the hotel and cruise ship real quick and talk about pricing. But we do a number of things in Egypt. I do like this itinerary a lot. You see the inclusions in there. Do love the hotel choice, the Waldorf Astoria. So only 2 different accommodations to get used to. I've been on a lot of trips where there's a hotel every different night. You get used to 4 different hotels. This is one hotel. The hotel you stay at the first night will be the hotel you return to. I do like that about this trip. Kudos to Kensington for that. And then the Nile cruise ship for 4 nights. So this is just a wonderful designed itinerary. Give it my David stamp approval, my expertise in Egypt. And we do see a lot of cool things, as I mentioned already. And then August 6th, we take off the airport. And how it works when you travel from that part of the world, when you return home the same day. So you leave the 27th and you arrive in the morning of the 28th of July. August 6th, you depart in the afternoon. Because the time you make up on the way back, you arrive that afternoon in your town, unless you have a major connection, you're going to the West Coast. But those you on the East Coast, I've done this trip numerous times, and you're home that afternoon, clearing customs and whatever airport you fly into. Again, air will be talked about later, and the price I'm going to share with you does not include air. I'm going to cover it briefly. And yeah, it's a premium price tag. Listen, this is peak season in Egypt as far as summertime goes, as far as when to be there. Historic event, Eclipse of the Ages. Nothing like this. I mean, imagine this eclipse happening back in that era, what they thought. A lot of kings were probably created. I mean, I imagine anyone born that time period was probably Dobby King. Just to kind of cross ancient Egypt with an eclipse of this magnitude over Luxor, like, what kind of happenstance is that? I mean, even if it was partial, it'd be cool. But to have a totality of 6 minutes is pretty epic. So that's going to create a lot of demand. I'm seeing the trips come out of the woodwork. From what I hear, the hotels are already booked. A lot of people, I think, are going to be driving and dining and leaving. In other words, they're driving in, seeing the eclipse, and leaving. That a lot of that went out in Portland in 2017. I was supposed to join that and backed out. A lot of that tried to happen in Texas last year. People just drove in, overnight and then go back out. We are going to be relaxed on a Nile cruise ship, going north on the Nile from Aswan. So we'll be in good shape there. So that's the basic of the trip. I'm going to share the itinerary once more. And as I go through this, show the map of all what we're seeing. So obviously we're seeing most of northern Egypt and a little bit of southern Egypt. There's a lot in between the Nile. That's not normally cruised, by the way. Most Nile cruises are from Aswan to Luxor, 99% of them, because that's where all the temples are from that newer kingdom, middle kingdom era of Egypt. And so that's hence all those pinpoints on the map there. And on scrolling on down, I'll go back to the pricing in a second. So what's included? So fully customized itinerary. It's 24/7 edition support from Kensington Tours and our local providers there. Private driver for tours and destinations. That's very important in that part of the world. Local private guides, greeting at the airport, breakfast each morning in your hotel, plus meals included the itinerary. I'm not going to go to each one, but please look at the itinerary. If you click that link I give you, or you see it in the chat, or you see it in the YouTube description, I am literally sharing that link right now. So this is it. And the price there is down bottom, which we're going to talk about in a second. What's not included, obviously, the big price tag. The international airfare, I imagine, will be about $1,200. It could be cheaper depending on what city you come from. But sometimes I've seen rates from JFK for a lot less. Consider we're going over a longer period of time, and I'm going to get rates as soon as they come out, but they're going to mark them up. So it's going to be a little bit of a game come a year from now. It'll be basically mid to late August. Airfare comes out. We're already watching for rates, putting reminders up for next year, because that's how it is. It's a 2 years out, and the air comes out less than a year out. Tips are not included. Very important to tip in Egypt. They're in a very aggressive culture for tips, so play along with the game. Any personal charges, things like that. There are some lunches and dinners that are not included, and then obviously alcoholic drinks are not included in the itinerary. So what's mostly included are the services and the meals listed, but overall, it's the overall experience. The price tag of $12,000, roughly $493 a person, is based on today, the itinerary you see, but this is subject to change until you book. It's a 30% deposit. The only penalty is a $250 admin fee if you cancel. The final is not due until 90 days prior to departure. That's 2027. So that is, let's see, April 2027, mid-April 2027. So you have a lot of time to hold on to this. And again, it's not non-refundable. It's also not free cancellation. There is a small fee because Kensington put a lot of work into this. So just keep that in mind. But that's a skinny. Give you a preview when you look at the itinerary. There's more detail in the hotels. There's really more detail, step by step, day by day, which I'm not going to review now. But it goes into the Waldorf area. And the pictures and the design of the program, awesome. Kensington, I work with them because they do a great job. I build these same programs for my clients who travel all over the world. They just send a client. I sent clients to Thailand, send clients to Bali on tours like this. They do a great job. But that's the price. You can contact me, dave@bucketlisttrip.com, 305-453-9208, or direct message me on wherever you're watching the show, and we'll talk more about it. I'm excited. I hope you guys are too, because this to me is something I've been talking about for a very long time. And also, it's something that I always wanted to do. I really miss Egypt. I went there a lot thanks to an opportunity I had with a company years ago in 2006 that was specializing in Egypt, didn't know diving, and I got to promote their services to dive shops because I was their dive specialist, and I became their marketing specialist. We had a great relationship until the Arab Spring in 2011 killed our business for a few years, and it was time to just move on from that relationship. Haven't really gone back since, and I'm excited to go back. And it is rare I lead a trip. I'll tell you right now, if you know me at all, I just haven't led a trip in a long time. And it's hard for me to do that because I'm always planning trips for the clients. My priority is them. But this one I'm putting my personal stamp on, and I am going on this trip of a lifetime. So the Eclipse of the Ages to Egypt trip, 11-night trip, July 27th to August 6th, 2027. And this is something you want to see, because once in a true millennium event, a total Luxor eclipse for 6 minutes and 20 seconds totality and guaranteed sunlight. Trust me, I've been there in August. It's going to be hot, but guaranteed sunlight. Well, thanks for joining the show. Please rewind this on the recording as soon as it ends. If you just joined during the chat, we'll talk all about the trip, the itinerary. Look for the link. I'll post it right after the show on my Facebook profile on my Facebook page. It's already in the YouTube description. That link is active. And please contact me with any questions. I am the one that designed this trip with Kensington, and I am the one you booked through. And if you see other trips out there, ours is unique. Ours is unique with the Nile cruise ending in Luxor, and I'm the one holding the spaces. So please contact me to arrange this trip. I look forward to helping you guys out. Please join me on the Eclipse of the Ages in August, July 2027. You guys have a fantastic Sunday evening. King.